As Big Shaq, former basketball legend and one of the toughest athletes ever to step on the court, drives through a quiet, unsuspecting town, he has no idea he's about to come face to face with the last group of people he should. After a long drive, he pulls into a diner, thinking it's just a simple stop for a meal. But the moment he steps out of his sleek black SUV, Mako, the gang leader, locks eyes with Shaq. A smug grin curls on his face as he mutters under his breath, "Looks like we've got ourselves a new visitor. Nobody steps into our town unless we say so." The racist spikers start whispering, their eyes narrowing, sizing up the stranger who dares to walk into their world. They don't see the calm before the storm. They don't see the warning in Shaq's silent composure. To them, he's just another outsider, someone they can push around. But what they don't realize is that they've just made a massive mistake. They've picked a fight with the world's toughest basketball legend. And tonight, they're about to learn a lesson they'll never forget. As camera slowly pans up across parking lot, a sleek black SUV rolls in, its polished surface gleaming under the flickering streetlights. All eyes turn as the vehicle comes to a stop, exuding an air of quiet dominance, and then he steps out. Big Shaq. Towering, unshaken, a figure of pure power and confidence. His presence alone silences the night, his frame casting a shadow that even the toughest wouldn't dare to challenge. As Shaq strides into the diner, the bikers pause mid-laugh, their eyes narrowing, murmurs spreading like wildfire among the group. Glances are exchanged and smirks begin to form, a sign that trouble is brewing. Inside the diner, the atmosphere is calm but uneasy. The faint clinking of silverware and the low hum of conversation create a fragile sense of normalcy. At the counter, Big Shaq sits quietly, his massive frame almost too large for the small stool. He eats his meal with a calm precision, the kind of calm that only comes from someone who has faced far bigger challenges than the world could throw at him. But not everyone is at ease. The waitress, a woman with weary eyes, approaches cautiously, her voice a hushed whisper as she leans in close. She says, almost pleading, "Sir, you might not want to stick around too long. This isn't the kind of place for strangers." Shaq pauses, his fork mid-air, and glances at her. There's no fear in his eyes, just a quiet understanding. He nods once, a gesture that says, "I hear you, but I'm not going anywhere." Outside, the scene is very different. The bikers, still gathered around their motorcycles, erupt in loud laughter. Their voices carry into the diner, a sharp contrast to the quiet inside. The leader, Mako, leans against his bike, his smirk widening as he watches through the window. Mako's voice cuts through the chaos as he motions to his crew. "Looks like we've got ourselves a little entertainment tonight, boys." The gang erupts in cheers, their confidence brimming as they prepare to make their move. As Shaq finishing his meal. He pays his bill, nods politely to the waitress, and steps outside, his movements slow and deliberate. The air shifts the moment he emerges. Tension thickens like a storm cloud, ready to burst. And there they are, the free souls waiting. They've formed a semicircle around Shaq's SUV, their body language dripping with arrogance. Shaq doesn't stop. He walks straight toward them, his steps measured, his gaze steady. Then Mako steps forward, the unmistakable leader of the pack. His smirk is almost mocking as he looks up at the towering figure before him. The gang's laughter quiets as Mako speaks, his voice dripping with false bravado. "What's a guy like you doing in our town? Looks like you took a wrong turn." For a moment, there's silence. The kind of silence that makes your pulse quicken, the kind that promises something is about to happen. Shaq, calm and unfazed, meets Mako's gaze without blinking. His voice is low, steady, almost too calm. "I'm just passing through. Don't want any trouble." The air is thick with tension, a stillness that feels like the calm before a violent storm. Big Shaq stands his ground, towering over the gang that surrounds him. His expression remains calm, almost stoic, but his voice cuts through the chaos like a blade. "You don't want to do this," Shaq warns, his tone steady but firm. "Walk away while you still can." But the Free Souls aren't the kind to back down. The gang snickers, their arrogance unshaken. And then it happens. Mako steps forward, throws the first punch, a wild, desperate swing. But Shaq? He's ready. Effortlessly, he ducks under the blow, moving with the kind of precision that only comes from years of intense training. His counterattack is swift and devastating. A single punch that lands squarely on Mako's chest, sending him stumbling back, gasping for air. The other bikers don't hesitate. They charge all at once, their confidence fueled by numbers. But Shaq is no ordinary man. He's a force of nature, a legend who spent a lifetime mastering control, strength, and strategy. One biker swings a chain, its metallic clinks echoing ominously through the lot. Shaq spins out of the way with the agility of a man half his size, his movements fluid and precise. Before the attacker can recover, Shaq counters with a sweeping kick that sends the chain clattering to the ground. Another two bikers rush in together, attempting to flank him, but Shaq plants his foot firmly and pivots, a classic basketball move. The sudden shift catches them off guard, and with one fluid motion, Shaq sweeps their legs out from under them, sending both men crashing to the pavement in unison. Another biker barrels toward him, a wooden plank raised high. Shaq catches the weapon mid-swing, his massive hand wrapping around it like a vice. He yanks it away with ease, then uses it to parry another attack before snapping it clean in two. Another chaos comes when one particularly bold biker charges at Shaq, fists flying. Shaq sidesteps, grabs the man by his jacket, and with an incredible display of strength, lifts him off the ground. In a single powerful motion, Shaq slams him down onto a nearby table, a move that feels less like a fight and more like a slam dunk. The gang's confidence begins to falter. One by one, they fall, each realizing too late that they're no match for the giant who moves like an athlete and strikes like a warrior. The Free Souls thought they were untouchable, but in less than 20 minutes, Big Shaq has dismantled their reign of terror, showing them that sometimes even the strongest need to know when to walk away. The once rowdy gang of bikers now lies scattered across the parking lot, groaning in pain, their confidence shattered. But Mako, the leader, refuses to back down. He wipes the blood from his lip and staggers to his feet, his pride refusing to let him accept defeat. Mako glares at Shaq, his eyes burning with rage. He reaches into his jacket, pulling out a weapon, a gleaming steel knife that catches the moonlight. The sound of the blade sliding free sends a chill through the air. It's a desperate move, a sign that Mako knows he's lost but won't admit it. Shaq doesn't flinch. His towering figure remains calm, his piercing gaze locked onto Mako. The tension is palpable, every second stretching like an eternity. As Mako lunges forward, thinking he finally has the upper hand, Shaq moves with lightning speed. Before anyone can blink, Shaq disarms him. In one fluid motion, he grabs Mako's wrist, twists it with precision, and the knife falls harmlessly to the ground. The clang echoes through the lot, a sound that marks the end of the gang's dominance. Shaq doesn't stop there. With sheer strength and unmatched control, he pins Mako to the ground, his knee pressing firmly into the gang leader's back. Mako struggles, but it's futile. Shaq is immovable. And then, in the silence that follows, Shaq speaks. His voice is steady, commanding, yet filled with a profound sense of purpose. "Look at you. Look at all of you," he says, his gaze sweeping across the battered gang. "You think power comes from fear? From hurting others? It doesn't. Power isn't about how many people you can intimidate. Real strength." He pauses, his voice deepening, each word carrying weight, is knowing when to walk away. For the first time, they're silent. Truly silent. There's no more mocking laughter, no more bravado, just the raw realization of their own weakness. Mako, now humbled, stops struggling. His eyes, filled with defiance moments ago, soften with something new. Understanding. The other bikers slowly rise to their feet, their battered bodies and bruised egos a testament to the lesson they've just learned. One by one, they nod. Not out of fear, but out of respect. Respect for the man who could have crushed them completely, but chose instead to teach them a lesson they would never forget. Across the lot, Shaq walks calmly to his sleek black SUV. His steps are measured, his presence still commanding. As he opens the car door, he pauses, glancing over his shoulder at the gang. In that moment, his voice cuts through the quiet like a knife. Steady, firm, but not without a hint of empathy. Next time, don't judge a book by its cover. The gang freezes, their eyes fixed on him. His words carry more weight than any punch could, embedding themselves deep into their conscience. Shaq gets into his SUV, the engine purring to life. As the vehicle pulls out of the lot, the golden glow of the setting sun bathes the scene. The gang stands together, watching silently as Shaq drives away, their reflections painted in the orange and pink hues of the fading light. In that moment, they're left with more than their injuries. They're left with a sense of clarity. Shaq didn't just defeat them, he changed them. For the first time, they're forced to look inward, to confront the lives they've been leading. And that's how Big Shaq reminded them why he's not just a basketball legend, but a legend of life. Sometimes the toughest battles aren't fought on the court. They're fought in the heart. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button and subscribe for more jaw-dropping tales like this one. Until next time, stay inspired and stay strong.